Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, to another round of the FP Challenge Cup here in PSGL. We're here for round 5 around Singapore for our first night race of the season. And once again, I am not alone. My name is Phoenix and I'm joined by Jack once again. Hello, welcome Jack.
Hello, I'm excited to commentate here again. It's always interesting racing. And Singapore is a tricky track. It's, I think, the longest amount of time for a race there is on the calendar at the moment, so I think we're in for a slightly longer night tonight. And yeah, like you said, first night race, which is always a nice fun thing to see in F1.
Yeah, obviously, and this track is just very, very special, more in real life than it is on the game. In real life, obviously very exhausting with the temperatures we've got there, but here in the game it's actually fine. But like you said, the longest race on the calendar time-wise, and this longest race features 23 corners, 2 DRS zones, and very, very small room for error.
Absolutely, this is my third favourite track on the game. I find it really enjoyable to drive, especially as there's so many turns. That's what makes it such a long race, but it's a really big challenge, I think, with the walls being so close. And of course safety cars can happen and crash gates can also happen, but we're not going to talk about that on this stream.
Hopefully we won't see something similar like we did in 2008, where Fernando Alonso took the win famously because of the crash gate, as we all know, who hasn't been watching F1 since yesterday. But yeah, it's always very exciting around here, surprisingly, I gotta say. Even though overtaking is not that easy. Just let alone the fact that there's so little room for error. It can be so exciting when you're watching, and so many things can turn around within a split second.
Yeah, for sure, if you go out a little bit too wide in a certain corner and you clout into the wall, that could be either completely race over or really race damaging, as you'd maybe lose some of your front wing or lose your wheel completely. So yeah, no room for error. So I think the drivers are going to have to be more calm and careful, and I think this is the first true street track where the walls are so close on our calendar so far. So I think the drivers need to be more careful with their overtakes, especially in this 5-lap qualifying race, because I notice a lot of people get very aggressive, and I don't think the drivers can really do that today, especially as this is such a close, tight track. Like you said, no room for error. So if you do make an error, then it could be catastrophic for your race or somebody else's race. So I think the drivers need to make sure they keep it calm and keep it careful for this race.
And you need to make sure to go in spectator mode real quick.
God.
And we've only got 17 drivers so far, but hopefully that won't change the amount of excitement we will get after last race. We saw none other than Forbes taking the win in both the qualifying and the feature race. It seems like today he is not here, so very interesting. But we won't have enough time to talk about many things as soon as we are loaded in, as we already know. Hopefully this week we will have a formation app, otherwise it's going to be quite hectic. And yeah, I just hope for a really good race.
Yeah, so do I. We're missing our race winner, like you said, Forbes. He was quite dominant last week. I think that was quite clear because he was in the Rebel, which was too fast of a car for him. But yeah, without any formation up on this, we're only going to have about 30 seconds to prepare ourselves for the qualifying race. And yeah, look, missing 3 drivers, which is disappointing. I'm not too sure who they are right now, but it's sad to see. But never mind. Hopefully the drivers that are still here today can give us a exciting race.
Yeah, I'm very sure that they will. I mean, they've never really disappointed us, but I do actually hope that it's not going to be raining in the race, because we saw that can limit the amount of overtakes happening.
Yeah, absolutely. This track is no stranger to wet weather, so I mean, if that does happen, it can really change this race, of course, but it also kind of lighten down the race in a way. But I think we're about to get underway.
Yes, as the lights are already coming on, we've got a Mercedes and a Ferrari lining up on pole. And it's 5 red lights and it's lights out, and away we go. It's a very slow start from Davey, and Biz has already passed him down into turn 1, and Biz has taken the lead around the outside. What a great start from the Ferrari. He's gone round the outside of his teammate. We've got Orketza Gray in front of his teammate, who's fighting away with New Zealand Cam at the moment. Can he keep the spot? Yes, for the moment he can, but there's a lot of action going on in the back as well. We've got Malham, who took the place from Nano Bacon, who is still right behind him, but the Mercedes has just got that extra bit of straight line speed, but it looked like they kept it clean at the front.
Yeah, some of the drivers not really...
Right, as I say that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Greeny just dived it down the inside of not only Nano Bacon, but he took out Malham because of that, as well as Sam has just been overtaken not only by Davey, but also by Orketza Gray.
Sorry, there was almost a crash at the back between Bugatti and CC Brain as they had a little bit of contact. CC Brain did an amazing job of keeping it out of the wall. I mean, they didn't really listen to me saying that they should take it more clean. They almost went 4 wide into the first corner, which is absolutely insane. But I'm seeing a few bits of damage for some drivers as New Zealand Cam is actually going side by side with Cayman right now. He's on the inside of Cayman. Cam tries to hold around the outside, almost getting pushed into the wall there, Cam. Only just been left enough room from Cayman. Cayman still holding on, still going side by side. The Rebel on the inside of the McLaren, he's still going for it. Cam's going to have to cut the corner just a lot of wheel bang going on as Cam has let Cayman back through, and that's over, and Greeny's just got past him as well, so opportunistic from Greeny, which is really good to help his race, but Cam unfortunately losing out his fight on Cayman.
But what a great fight, that was so close. I don't know if there's been any situation where there's been more room given, or less room given, I'm sorry. Tipson just picked up some front wing damage. Maxi Luca dives into the pit, so does Orketza Gray, which is probably not the smartest thing to do in a 5-lap race, especially if it's the qualifying race, so we'll have to wait and see how they, turn out in the end. But right now we've got Biz pulling away after a fantastic start in front of Davey, a 3-second gap already, and then Sam T 1.4 seconds behind Davey, and Cayman only half a second behind him.
If I remember rightly, I think it was last week, it was Biz in the Ferrari again, who was really, really quick and almost challenging Forbes, except he had an unfortunate thing happen to him, and I think we might actually have a pit glitch, do we? Yeah, one of the racing points is just stuck there, sorry. But Biz had a really good race last week, I think, challenging Forbes.
Yeah, unfortunately he lagged out last week, as we remember, which kind of destroyed the battle for the win, which was very impressive to see him right up there. But this week it seems like he is once again right up there, and he is about to take pole position for the feature race. And Davey has got a comfortable gap to Sam. Cayman.
Nano Bacon's in the wall. Nano Bacon's had a crash. I think it was with Praga. I'm not sure what happened, but I just saw Nano Bacon kind of get squeezed into the wall, and he's now out of this race, which means he's going to start at the back for the next race as Johnson goes around the outside of Skeven in his Williams, which is a really good move from him, really. That was really well done from him. Tipson seems to be kind of holding up this little train of QPR beast, Jonathan and Skeven right now, but Nano Bacon, unfortunately, being removed from this race as he loses his wheel into the barrier.
Yes, absolutely, and oh, look at that, we've got a race into the pit lane. Now, thank you, Big C, for actually reminding me of that. Remember, the top 10 have to start on the tyre they've raced on, so that might be a strategical decision to not start on the soft compound, because obviously all the guys who finish inside the top 10 have to start on the tyre they race on.
Yeah, absolutely, the soft tyres on this track, I mean, after about 3 or 4 laps, they just quite literally melt. They just completely leave you, and they're impossible to drive on. So, the driver's starting on the hards for Jonathan, actually, if he gets inside the top 10, or the drivers on the mediums. I think that could maybe be a better strategy call in a way. I completely forgot that could be a thing. So, yeah, people starting on the mediums could be having much more an advantage on the soft runners, who are either going to have to stretch out their hard stints or go for a 2-stop. So, yeah, this race can really be open to strategy now.
Yeah, as I had to sneeze there for a moment, I apologize for that, but look at the background. QPR base without a front right end plate is trying to defend against Bugatti, who just went clean around the outside of him, and that was a brilliant move from the Williams driver. And for the moment he moves himself up into P12 and into 12th place for the feature race at the start. But up front the gaps are looking to get a bit tighter. Davey seems to be losing time, quite a lot of time actually. I don't know if he's got damage, doesn't look like he has, but Sam just picked up a 2-second time penalty actually in a 5-lap race, and Cayman just pitted, but Sam is looking to try and get P2 in this qualifying race.
Yeah, for sure, but the drivers are kind of proving what Singapore's all about, because on paper Singapore seems like it could be quite a boring track and not very interesting, but the drivers have shown that a race can be fought on this track with people going side by side for multiple corners. Yeah, it's just a really interesting track, but Green again really close to the back of Cam now. Cam seems to be struggling on those tyres, I think, as even in a 5-lap race the tyres pretty much go off quite quickly as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The softs are really not the tyre you want to be on, as Greeny gets really, really close to the wall with his front right end plate missing. That is not too easy around this track with a lot of very technical corners, a lot of 90-degree corners as well, as he nearly understeers into the wall on the outside. He's very, very close to the walls on the inside. So,
CC Brain's just gone in the wall. CC Brain, he's lost it under his brakes. He went too deep. He was fighting with Maxi Luca and he's just lost it into the wall, which is really going to affect this race. Jonathan isn't too far behind now after that huge mistake from him. He was fighting with Maxi Luca. Maxi Luca got... Wait, no, sorry. It was CC Brain that got around the outside of Maxi. I think it was. And then trying to get back at him. CC Brain just went too deep on the brakes and just went into the wall, so that's really disappointing for him, meaning he's going to start a little bit further back, and Jonathan maybe moving himself up into the top 10 position so he can start on those hard tyres and have an alternate strategy compared to the people ahead, as 3 more people decide to pit for new tyres.
Yes, a lot of people are doing the last lap pit stop. Praga is up into P3 with his front right end plate also missing, but it seems like Biss, Davey and Praga, all 3 of them seem to have decided to stay out, which then promotes Orkatza Grey into P4, also Cayman into P5 because of the pit stops. And let's see, where does Greeny come out? He does come out in front of Maxi Luca, but only just by around a second, and at the moment it is looking really, really good for those guys who are on the mediums or even hards. Greeny decided to qualify on the hard compound.
Yeah, Bagassi's just lost it as well coming around the final corner. He was off in the wall or something, and a few more moves have been made, but only 3...
Jonathan, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There goes Jonathan down the inside into turn 7. Now they're side by side for turn 8. Obviously, CC Brain has got quite a lot of damage. I think a bit of wheel banging there going on, but Jonathan gets the spot with his front wing in much better condition. And right now it should be around the same level of downforce for those 2 guys. I mean, Jonathan is in the Williams, CC Brain has got front wing damage. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, the Williams has got absolutely god-awful downforce. It's horrible to drive, I know that for a fact. But
as Biss takes the win of the qualifying race, Davey takes second in the qualifying race, so a very, very good starting position for both of them. Praga takes third, and 7 points with him then. No, 8 points, sorry. And Orkatza Grey, I think, has the best circumstances for a good result in here. He starts P4 on the tyre compound you would want to start on. So a really, really good chance. Cayman actually gets demoted to 7th on pure penalties. And very, very interesting as Tipson just around the final corner, he just passed CC Brain.
I didn't even notice that, but I mean, fair enough. It was clearly quite close to the line because it's still coming up with the arrows, but yeah, it looks like Orkatza Grey is in the best position right now, starting on the best tyres that you want. Also, probably being in the best car for this track, being in a Red Bull. Really high downforce on a high downforce track, so I mean, it looks like Orkatza Grey could be challenging for something good in this race, especially as the faster drivers being in the slower cars, something like the Williams, which is just disgusting on downforce. So it looks like Orkatza Grey is in a very good position for this race.
Yeah, and here you have your podium. I gotta say, fair play to Codemasters around night tracks. I think The game looks really, really good, especially the lightning on the cars. I really like it. It looks really good in my opinion. And gotta say, it looks really, really beautiful when you see those drivers racing around there, especially the cars like the Toro Rosso or the Mercedes, or even the Haas, which like really blend in. I think that looks really, really good.
I completely agree with you. It looks absolutely fantastic. I do like a bit of night, but if you want to run through the grid.
Yes, we've got Biss starting on pole for the feature race in front of Davey, Praga and Orchestra Grey on the medium compound in front of Sam T, New Zealand Cam, Cayman, Maxi Luca and Greeny on the hards as far as I'm aware. Jonathan takes P10 in the Williams on the hards as well, I think. Tipson in P11 just in front of CC Brain, and Skeven then QPR Beast in P14, Bugatti in 15th, Malham in 16th, and Nano Bacon will start last after he already retired in the qualifying race. Hopefully the feature race will be better for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is the fewest amount of retirements we've had in a sprint race so far, our qualifying race, so I mean, that's nice to see. At least the drivers keeping a little bit more clean around Singapore. Obviously, I think they need to be a bit more careful due to the nature of this track, but I agree with you about this track looking amazing on this game. I do like a bit of night racing. I quite like the night in general, but this game really does it justice with all the lighting and everything, and it just looks fantastic. Also, we're treated to some nice fireworks once the winning driver comes across the line. Simply beautiful.
Well, I gotta say that those fireworks are awful for the frame rate when you're still out on track. I know that when you are not winning the race and the fireworks are already going off and you're going through the last sector, your game drops to like 15-20 FPS, and it's really, really difficult to race with those. So hopefully there won't be anything major happening for the drivers behind the leader in the last sector of the race, because otherwise it's going to be really difficult to fight with a frame rate of like 15 FPS.
Yeah, that's always an issue around this track. It's sad that the frame rate drops, but it still looks cool, so it doesn't matter too much. But I'm glad to see the drivers keeping a little bit more clean for this race, as you know, maybe it will reduce the chance of a safety car if they're being a little bit more calm with their driving standards and everything. But yeah, only one retirement coming from that race, maybe a little squeeze into the wall, but you know, that's all okay really. But some bits of damage, only one retirement, so you know, I don't think we can be too displeased with driving standards or anything, so hopefully that gives us a more interesting race and more cars being on the grid.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And I think, isn't it possible on the F1 game as well, when you make a lobby and you already have set like 2 Singapore races, isn't it possible to make the second grid the championship order? And shouldn't it be right then for the next race? I think then you wouldn't have had to customize the grid every single time. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but it might be possible to do championship standings or something. But like I said, I'm absolutely not sure. So I might be wrong. And this might be the best solution. But I don't really care. It didn't take that long, so fair play. Good job by doing the grid so quickly. Hopefully we will have a formation lap now, because last week we didn't.
Yeah, that was quite a surprise to me as well, as much as it was for you. So sadly you're the lead com, so you've had to suddenly get on it, or I could kind of just sit back and let you do your thing. So hopefully that isn't the case today, so we can have a little more chats about the track or some things. I mean, I'm not really sure there's too many specific talking points on this track, because all of it's a challenge, really. No specific challenges really. There's one big hairpin, first corner's pretty interesting, so yeah, a lot of 90 degrees, a few faster corners as well. Sadly we don't have the, what was it called, the Singapore Sling or something?
Yeah, the Sling Chicane, the famous one.
Oh, that was always fun. I remember doing that on a F1009 on the Wii. I had a great time.
So did I actually, and right now I hope that this race will go underway very shortly, and we do have a formation lap. That is beautiful. That is lovely.
Absolutely.
And let's see who has got which tyres fitted. And I think Davey W just made himself disqualified.
Yeah, looks like it. Well
Good
done,
job.
Davey. Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, P2, good starting position, even though you're on the softs. There could always be a safety car, which brings you back into the race. And now you will have to pit on lap 1 to fit the right compound to not be disqualified. Otherwise, you will be disqualified from the race. And, mate, it's not your first one. It's not your first race of the season. So you should be aware. But, you know, that's how it is sometimes. You always have something like that going on. But at least Prague and Biz paid attention to their tyres. They are on softs, and the rest of the top 10 are on the right compound as well. So that's good to see.
Maybe you just forgot, because I know in another league I race in, they have a mandatory 2-stop, and I forget every single race. So, you know, qualify normally, and then if it's like a medium hard track, I'll be like, why is everyone qualifying the softs? And then I'll remember it's a 2-stop race and have just a massive panic attack. I realise that I'm probably starting on the wrong tyres. So, yeah, maybe he just forgot and he's not used to this sort of thing. So, it's disappointing for Davey starting in P2, but unless he pits on lap 1, then it's completely race over. So that's sad for him, and it's going to put him down the order. But I've got Biz and Prague in 1-2 kind of, and all kind of screen moves himself up onto the podium. So lucky for him.
Yeah, they need to make the best out of their tyres, out of their situation in the first couple of laps when the tyres are actually good, because they are a lot quicker than the mediums or hards, but they just don't last at all. So we will have to wait and see. But I gotta say, I'm not league racing anymore on this game because I don't think it's fun. I mean, this is the first game where at some point I decided, you know, it's not really that fun to league race. Just simply because of the fact I talked about this a lot of times already, but I think overtaking is just not rewarding at all. Unlike real life, you don't get anything when you're stuck behind another car. You can save ERS and then you just go for one last lap lunge and that's it when you've got your 90% of ERS. So not really my favorite game, gotta say, in terms of league racing. But hopefully 2020 will be better with that overtake button. But we'll have to wait and see for that as the drivers lined up and the lights are about to come on. That's a weird camera angle to start with.
I'm getting that too.
Why am I on board with people?
It'll fix it. It'll fix itself.
And
hopefully.
Why are the lights not? Ah, there we go. Now we're up to 4 red lights, to 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we got. It's a very slow start from P1 once again. Davey gets away well, but Praga, what a start. He moves himself up into P1 already. As Biz and Davey made contact coming down into turn 1. Biz tried to take his second spot again as he goes round the outside into turn 3. What a move from Biz to move himself back up into P3. Orkanza Gray had a solid start. He stayed P4. Is now right behind Davey, who either has to pit or gets disqualified. And at the front they kept it clean more or less.
Yeah, very tricky first corner. Of course, the skip is going almost being squeezed into the wall by
Davey goes very wide, hits the wall, and now he basically has to pit because of front wing damage. So that might save him when he goes into the softs.
Yeah, for sure. But at the back, we've also had a little bit of a spin from Malham as Jonathan locks up his brakes. But yeah, quite a few people still going side by side. So good fight against Davies, just hitting to the back of Maxi Luca as well. That wing damage probably not helping him as Tipson makes him move on. Oh, Davies almost round, almost hitting into Sam T, who's been overtaken by New Zealand Cam and also CC Brain. So Sam is losing goals. He gets a little bit of contact from behind from QPR. He says someone off in the run off. That's Davey. Davies lost it under his brakes again. So Davies not having a good race at all, and 2 drivers being off the circuit on this first lap.
Oh, and there goes QPR Beast down the inside where the DRS zone should be in real on this game, but isn't. Real life we had a DRS zone there, but in the game we don't. Now he's got the inside line for that first part of the chicane, but there's contact. And Sam clips the rear tyre of QPR Beast, but QPR Beast keeps it on the track and moves himself up into the points paying positions. Really good move from him.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what people's damage situation is right now. I know Davey had so much really affected him as he just couldn't brake properly. But yeah, moving after this first lap, coming up to lap 2, Prague is still leading. It's a bit, isn't far behind him. They're both on the weaker tyre. I say weaker tyre, it's a bit stronger at the start of the race, but after the next couple of laps, it's going to be truly, truly awful. But Biz looks like he's a little bit stronger than Prague right now, and I think he might size up a move very, very soon. Before his tyres die out. He's in the slipstream now. He's going to go around the outside, coming into turn 3. Oh, sorry, turn 4 as Praga still keeps up the inside. He tries to go for it. Biz leaves enough room, except Biz is in front right now. I don't think Praga is going to be able to do much about it. He tries to hold around the outside, locks up his brake a little bit, but Biz, really good move from him, moving himself up into P1, and is going to try and build on that gap from Praga, except all cats are grey. Look at him, he's only about 4 tenths behind Praga on the stronger tyre for this track, for this race.
I saw rain. There's rain.
There's rain. Oh, there is. There really is rain. Okay, that's interesting.
That is interesting because so many guys are out on the hards who started outside of the top 10 even. So interesting that they didn't react at all. But just for your information, that turn where they went side by side, that is turn 7, not turn 4.
Oh God.
And let's look at the position changes. Gotta say, CC Brain and QPR Beast both have had great starts up into P9 and P10. And Sam has lost 6 positions off the start, so an awful getaway to this race for him, but there's enough time for him to still make that up. But we'll have to wait and see how the situation unfolds in terms of rain. But gotta certainly say, Davey down in last place on the mediums, so he will be disqualified after the race.
Yeah, so but looking at this rain, it could actually help the soft runners actually, because maybe they. Oh, I know they wouldn't have seen the rain at the start. Never mind in the qualifying race, but you know maybe it's going to help them being on the softs. Hang on, here comes all cuts of grey actually on Praga. Praga seems to be going quite slowly in this race. Oh, he kind of had to let off there, and because he would have run into the back of him or something. As Cayman and Greeny are actually going side by side. Greeny's going to try and hold it up the inside of. Cayman if he can. A little bit of contact was made. Cayman gave him enough room. Just about as Maxi Luca also gets past Tipson. So some stuff went on there. But maybe this rain benefits the soft runners. And the rain will become wet enough for Inters, which it looks like it's becoming quite slowly. As this is one of the longer tracks, of course, it's less laps until the track gets wet enough for the wets or dry enough for the dry. So, you know, this could maybe even benefit the soft runners as their tyres won't go off before the rain, but we're going to have to wait and see. It won't benefit the medium runners as much, but definitely won't benefit the hards.
Yeah, but I gotta say, I've had so many wet races that I commentated lately, as the two Torossos just went side by side and switched positions. QPR Beast now up into P9, as CC Brain is under a lot of pressure from Sam behind him, who is on the mediums and the better tyre with that. And up front, Biz is actually pulling away, so he's had a really good race so far. Oh, as he goes really wide through the last couple of corners. I think he tried to dummy the guys behind him and just made a mistake because of that. As Cayman goes into the pits as the first one of these guys. He's going on to the intermediates, and so has Greeny. Interesting.
I mean, it does look quite wet out on the track. I'm not sure. It's kind of in that in-between period, I think. But because this is such a long lap, maybe they've actually made the right call, because by the end of this lap, all the drivers in front of them now, pretty much the entire back half of the grid gone for the Inters, actually. So maybe this... We saw this last week, I think, where we kind of had the grid split. Here comes New Zealand Cam. He's going up the inside of Tipson. He's going for it. McLaren on the Renault. Tipson doesn't have much room. He goes for it, and DRS has been disabled. So the drivers who have gone into the Inters could really benefit from that. Cam get very close to the wall with Tipson. A little bit of contact being made. Cam is still on the inside of Tipson, except he gets that move done, as these tyres are going to be truly awful. Look at that. They're not having a good time.
You can see how wet the surface is already. And the drivers are really struggling for grip as New Zealand Cam goes wide, and Tipson uses that. What a great move from him. He uses that mistake from New Zealand Cam to go right round the outside of that corner and takes a spot as Biz has spun.
Oh no, Biz, he was one of our front runners in this race. Maybe he could have challenged for the win, but now he's in the wall and it's really hurting him. So these tricky conditions with his probably ruined tyres is really not benefiting him at all. Now he's down with his teammate, as he's just been overtaken. He's gone from P2 down into
Tipson
P8.
has gone into the run-off area.
So has QPR Beasts. They're in the wall too.
A lot of chaos going on. We've got a virtual safety car which might save some guys on the slicks right now. But what a chaotic race. Everyone's struggling for grip so much right now, as QPR Beast doesn't have anything of his front wing left. And the race leader Biz has spun out. out of the hairpin on lap 4 and has lost the lead. He's down into P6. He has not lost his front wing, it looks like. No, he has got everything from his front wing. But I tell you what, he will now double stack behind Sam, which is going to cost him so much time.
So yeah, possible race win could be ruined for Biz. He got unlucky last week and it seems like he may have got unlucky today after a mistake that could have been his own. But it looks like the back half of the grid who pit for the Inters on that first lap, sorry, the lap before this one, lap 4, maybe they've made the right call, except the virtual safety car may be helping a few people, but never mind. Looks like Kane is jumping up the order. He's up into P2. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be P2 for him, just behind Progress with green flag racing again. Unfortunately, Biz is really falling down, so this could be his race virtually over unless we see a safety car. But the racing, I imagine it's going to slow down a bit due to this. Well, oh, there's been contact! Cam's just made a little bit of contact with, I think that might have been Jonathan. He just hit into his side pod, coming out of the pits, and now he's spun round and he's dropped down a few positions. I'm not sure what was happening. There's also people going side by side coming out of the pits, so that's really hurt New Zealand Cam, who's spun around and has unfortunately moved down into P12.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Prague has made a great race so far. After 5 laps, he is in the lead. After getting a great start, he was in the lead already once, then got passed by Biz. Looks like he was hung out to dry on those softs, but then even though he stayed out maybe 1 lap too long, that virtual safety car really helped him to maintain the lead. And right now, he's looking to be in a prime position for this race win.
Yeah, for sure. As long as he can keep it on the track in these Indy conditions and drives better than the people behind him, it could be Prague's race to lose. I'm not sure if they have to pit at some point in this race. I mean, I'm not sure how well the Inters hold up, but Skeven's just got past 17 and Jonathan looks like he's trying to size up Sam for a move soon. Sam in the Ferrari hasn't got the best downforce in the world. It's not too bad. I mean, he's got a good engine, but that's kind of ruined a little bit in the wet as this really evens out the playing field despite these cars being a bit weaker. But the Williams certainly not going to be good, but Jonathan's still getting very close to him, so Jonathan, if he wants to try and carry on fighting for that championship, he's going to want to get past Sam and get as many points as he possibly can in this race to catch up to one of his possible title contenders. Skeven in front of him, he's got plenty of ERS, so ERS saving is going to become quite easy.
Yes, absolutely, and I gotta say, this looks really, really good in terms of graphics right now. I'm just enjoying the way it looks when the lights are reflecting on the cars, in combination with the rain. It just looks really, really good in my opinion. But like we discussed it earlier, the rain is gonna definitely hinder the racing, as I just saw some front wing. Oh, Prague has lost front wing. That's what I saw. Prague has lost his front left end plate. I saw Skeven driving past the camera, and I knew it couldn't have been from him because of that. So right now it seems like Prague has made a mistake. I think that was turn 5 where he hit the outside wall. Yes, it must have been turn 5. He hit the outside wall, lost his front left end plate, and might have just bottled a chance for a race win in here.
The Red Bulls are certainly probably the best car around this track, so that high amount of downforce for the Red Bulls compared to a low amount of downforce anyway for the Alfa Romeo, with even less downforce because of front wing damage, could really help Cayman and all category possibly get a 1-2 in this race, except not too sure. We're just going to have to wait and see, but due to the rain and this being such a long race anyway, this race is going to take absolutely forever, so maybe a bit of practice for Race of Champions.
That might be, but Greeny, Orchetta Gray and Maxi Luca are really, really close to each other, as Maxi Luca just made a small mistake out of the penultimate corner and just lost a little bit of time, as Praga seems to be able to maintain that gap for the moment of 2.1 second to Cayman. For the moment, Greeny, with his better engine, is right behind Orchetta Gray, who is about 2 seconds behind his teammate, as New Zealand Cam picks up a 3-second time penalty. And Greeny might be able to set a move on Orchetta Gray now. down into turn 7. Let's go on board with him now. It looks like he's too far away. Like you said, the Red Bull is not only really good around this track, but also in the wet. You need that downforce, you need a good chassis, and that's what Red Bull has got.
Yeah, for sure, Greeny, he's getting quite close to all category, but sometimes on an exit, which is what hindered him coming into turn 7. It looks like Biz just got past New Zealand Cam as well, down the order, but yeah, certainly the Red Bull really helping out with exits and cornering capabilities, so Greeny unfortunately might find it quite hard to get past all category, but coming through sector 2 here, it looks like he's a little bit quicker than all category, but sometimes on those exits coming onto straights, it's not quite good enough for the Haas.
That was
close.
I thought he might hit the back of the Red Bull there for a second, but we see Jonathan is really close to Sam right now as well, as he has got a better engine, but the exits are just not really easy with the Williams. It has to be a late lunge from Jonathan at some point, as he locks up the right front tyre, which won't help him and his pace. As Sam T is massively struggling, gets a huge tank slapper, and yeah, that problem has solved itself.
So it really has solved itself.
Up into P8 now.
We're talking about how it might be quite hard for him to get past, but Sam, he just saw him literally wiggling across the straight. It's like a snake. He just started wiggling across on the exit. I think I saw him move about 6 times. He just couldn't keep the car under control. It was a miracle he kept out the wall. So Sam's really struggling with his low downforce coming from his Ferrari, dropping down a position into P9. Still in the points though, so not too bad for him. Skeeven's getting quite close to CC Brain, so could be seeing that fight heating up a little bit soon.
Yeah, especially because of the engine differences we talk about. I know we talk about this quite a lot, but it's just such a crucial topic for realistic performances. We can see CC Brain, Skeeven really close to CC Brain. He goes for a move round the outside into turn 7. The Toro Rosso has got better downforce, who pushes the Alfa Romeo wide, but there's still enough room to not put it in the wall. Very, very close between the two of them through turn 8, now coming down into turn 9, and it looks like Skeeven has to give ways for the moment.
Yeah, good fighting from those two, giving each other just enough room to give us a nice entertaining race. That's good to see. Skeeven, he's going to have to wait to get past CC Brain. He just didn't quite have the exit speeds on CC Brain. Is, of course, the better downforce for that Toro Rosso really helping him out, but on the straights, as CC Brain seems to be going quite deep into some corners, Skeeven gets a better exit from that, and with his better engine, could pull up a move, except I don't think it's going to happen into this one unless he's really ballsy, but no, he's going to have to wait. So I think it'll be into turn 7 again is when he'll try and make that move again.
Yeah, you have to have the bravery to make overtakes in the rain, because it's most of the time really a dive bomb you do. But is it just me, or does the rain look a lot heavier right now than it did just a few minutes ago? So we might see heavy wet conditions and extreme wet tyre conditions. So we might still see pit stops later on.
Yeah, that's a possibility, but you know, maybe some drivers will try and stick it out on the inters, but that does actually look really heavy, so maybe we even see a safety car, because safety on the F1 games, I mean, I don't like safety cars, I really don't. It just slows everything down, and it takes forever. Especially when a race has 4 safety cars, it's ridiculous.
Sometimes it can make a race more exciting.
Oh, CC
Brain goes incredibly wide. That gives Skeeven a really good chance to get past him. With this better straight line speed, he goes side by side through here, which is turn 6, now down into turn 7, which is the braking zone. CC Brain brakes earlier, now lets Skeeven pass more or less after he made the mistake. And now Skeeven is in P6 and CC Brain had to give ways.
Yeah, that was a mistake from CC Brain. Skeeven making the most of that opportunity, gaining himself up to P6 after the mistake from CC Brain. So that's good from Skeeven. He's quite far off Maxi Lucas, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to close up that gap. It will take a while for him to do it, but CC Brain, I think he might lose out to Skeeven from now on, as he looks a little bit slower than him. So CC Brain, he's going to have to want to try and keep with him if he wants to keep that P6, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen for him.
Not right now, not really, but I did see that the gap between Jonathan and CC Brain was quite big, around 4 seconds, and now it's down to 2 seconds, 1.9 actually. So a really, really good performance so far from Jonathan at the moment, who is catching up massively to a car that should be a lot quicker in these conditions at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like it. Oh, hang on, I've just seen Cayman. He's pulled
Oh
into the
no,
pits with Praga.
oh, not Biz once again. Biz is lagged out once
Oh,
again. Yes, it is extremes for those two guys.
yeah.
That's what I actually like about this game in terms of whether that the period between full wets and Praga changes front wing, full wets and inters, that can be like a crossover period where there's a span of a few laps where you could take both and they're around equally quick, and at some parts that tire is better, and at some parts the other tire is better. As Cayman comes up right behind QPR Beast. Oh, that's close.
It really is. I mean, again, about half the grid choosing to go onto the full wet tyres.
Oh
Cayman
my
gets really close
goodness.
to QPR base. That was terrifying.
Yeah, I really thought that would be it for Cayman now, and he would be out of that fight. So Praga's just lost the lead because of his front wing change. Do you think he can make that time back up to the other drivers, and do you think he can still win this race?
I'm not too sure. About 5 seconds is going to be a hard task for him, but you know, it could be possible. The heavy wet tyres, they look like, I'm not really sure what their pace is compared to those inters. This QPRPs seem to be doing a little bit better than what Cayman is right now, so we're just going to have to wait and see what people do. The front 7 people still all on the inters, so we're going to have to see what their choice is.
Gotta say, it looks very wet. You can always kind of get an indication of how the conditions are when you look next to the racing line. Oh, well, there's a lot
there's
of
big contact!
Whoa, he should let
Oh,
QPR Beast go in front again. Yes, he does. So Cayman outbraked himself, hit QPR Beast, but he did let him go again, and that gives Prague a perfect opportunity to catch back up. But what I wanted to say is, next to the racing line, you can most of the time see how the conditions are. It looks like New Zealand Cam has just spun, yes, out of the hairpin. We've got more people in the pits. Skeven and Jonathan both think it's too wet for the Inters, and they need the full wets, as all cats are grey. Same as Greeny and Maxi Luca have stayed out. And I'm just going to switch to gap to leader to see how far each driver's away from the leader, which could be quite helpful. But Cayman is still stuck behind QPR Beast, and he's just lost front wing.
has he?
He has hit the back of QPR Beast into turn 3, and now he has lost front wing, and he's so late on the brakes. Actually, it would have surprised me if he wouldn't have got front wing at some point.
I mean, yeah, he seems to be really late on the brakes compared to QPR base, but maybe he should have thought about that and, you know, made his braking zones a little bit earlier instead of stamping on the brakes so late and hitting into the back of QPR. So kind of came his fault in a way, but you know, it's disappointing for him, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to come back from that. But the front 5 drivers is a really interesting call from them. I mean, maybe the weather will, you know, calm down a bit and the Inters will be the best tyres again, and maybe they're just waiting for that period. But the full wets, maybe they're just not quite, they're not going to be good enough for long enough. So all the wet people would have to make another pit stop. I think the Inters will have to as well, with 20 laps left to go, 26 laps on the Inters. I don't think that will happen. They'll have to make another pit stop, but the wet drivers there, you know, they'd have to change another set of tyres and pull off I think a 2 or a 3 stop, and actually, yeah, 3 stop instead of, you know, just a regular 2 stop.
Yeah, right now Prague and QPR Beast. No, sorry,
So
Cayman.
Cayman's just gonna be inside the QPR beasts, and he's
has lost even more front wing.
Cayman.
So he will have to
Yeah.
pit now. His fight for the race win is basically over. I don't know how long the pit window is around here, or how much time you lose, and he stays out. Cayman stays out. with that amount of front wing damage.
He's just got a plank on the front of his car, and he's been overtaken by Praga as he went wide into the last corner, but yeah, it looks like Cayman, he's just going to fall off now. He should have pit that lap when he got that wing damage, but he decided not to. Maybe he thought he could live with it, but you know, it just isn't to be for him in this race, as he's gone too late on the brakes, went for a couple of maybe silly moves you would call it, but you know, it's disappointing for him, it's his own mistake. But here comes Praga, who's really close to QPR pieces. We've lost one of the Hasses, which is now not Bacon, and he's retired, so would that be a safety car? He's in quite a tricky spot.
It seems like he retired manually, actually.
Oh yeah, he did actually. That's strange. I think he spun or something and just kind of gave up instead of just waiting a couple more corners to retire in the pits, which is disappointing. So QPR Beast almost making a mistake. Praga, he's gone for that. He had a little look at it. That could have been close, but Praga, he's much quicker than QPR right now. QPR seems to be struggling on his inters. The full wets are clearly a little bit quicker now. Skeven just got a 10-second time penalty. But Praga getting a much better exit than QPR Beast. Can QPR do anything about it? He's going to try and stick it up the inside. He goes out a little bit wide, makes a little bit of contact with Praga. I don't think that caused any wing damage, which was quite lucky. Almost kind of chopped up his front wing a bit. But Praga is still looking up the inside, locks up his brakes. Cannot find a way past QPR and gets a 5-second penalty. Same with Cayman, so penalties already becoming a thing in this race. Praga gone for it where Cayman didn't manage. He almost does it. He's going to hold it around the outside. They're still going side by side. I've given you no time to speak, except he's still trying to hold it. Is he going to have to cut that corner? No, QPR gives him enough room, and he has to concede the position, which also means Skeven has got past him as well, and now it's an Alfa Romeo 5-6.
What an overtake. I mean, that's really not the usual spot where you would overtake, but he had to get past at some point. He lost so much time behind that Toro Rosso, and he's now got a 29.5 second gap to Orchestra Grey. And I think if they still want to pit for the wets, then they should do it right now, because otherwise Praga will be a lot quicker for the next few laps. Or they are just waiting for the rain to ease off once again, but right now it just looks as heavy as it was a few laps ago, as Praga locks up quite often.
Yeah, it seems like he's struggling under. Yeah, he locks up again, so I think he's struggling under the brakes, as QPR basically just lost 2 positions to CC Brain and Jonathan. So, sorry, he's really dropping down on those inters, which I think maybe shows that the inters are on the right tyre right now, but the drivers in front, you know, just waiting for the inter conditions to come back. But there's a huge amount of spray and a lot of standing water on the track, so yeah, it's now or never if they want to go for the wets. Or they're going to pit again for more inters, but it looks like New Zealand Cam decides to go for the inters, which is an interesting call, but we're just going to have to see what the weather decides to do.
Yeah, and it's probably interesting as well that Praga has got a 5-second penalty, because, oh, there's been a crash!
Oh,
CC Brain!
Where's that? Oh no!
CC Brain has he lost front wing? Yes, his front left end plate is gone.
Was that just a spin, contact?
I'm not sure, he might have just outbraked himself, but I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But what I wanted to say is that Praga and Skeven both have to serve a 5-second penalty, and obviously can't get it removed, because they've already served it then.
That's disappointing, but CC Brain, if only there was a replay feature.
Yeah, that will be really necessary for the F1 games actually. Because you miss so many things, you can't keep an eye on everything. But Praga just caught up 4 seconds within that last lap to the leader. 4 seconds.
He's only 2.8 away from Bugatti, so I think we could still be seeing Praga for the race win. I mean, he had that wing change, but clearly these wet tyres are so much quicker. Look, he's just taken 4/10 out of Bugatti, so Praga seems to be very strong, and that's New Zealand Cam in the wall again, it seems. So that's disappointing for New Zealand Tom. But Skeven, he seems to be going really quick as well. He's right up behind Praga, but Bugatti's really struggling on his inters tyres right now. So I think these full wet tyres are really coming into their own now, and are helping Praga maybe bring back that race win. Depends on how all cats are grey and greeny and everything are doing right now at the front and what the weather decides to do. But Skeven getting really close to Praga. Maybe he's going to try and make a move on his kind of teammate.
Yeah, well, they're not technically teammates in terms of the championship, but they are sitting in the same car, not exactly the same, but in the same team, let's rather say. It would be weird if they'd be sitting in the same car, but just look at how close Prague is to Bugatti right now. He just needs to find a way past him. With the best thing would be if he doesn't hit him, because otherwise he will either have front wing damage or a penalty.
Oh, Alcatraz Greggs!
Oh no!
He's out of the session. Is it just a curse to be in the fight for a win?
Yeah, I think it is. Greeny takes the lead, and I feel sorry for Alcatraz.
I feel bad for him. That's disappointing. He was doing so well all race. We even had someone who wanted him to win anyway, but here comes Braga on Bugatti coming into the first corner. I think he's going to go for it up the inside. Bugatti lagged a little bit there. Skeven, he has to sit behind. Bugatti can seize that position. Braga goes a little bit wide, but that's going to be the end of that fight, I think. And now it's just Skeven's turn to get past him. If he gets that better exit, which he does do coming into whatever turn it is, I have no idea anymore. We have another yellow flag. That looks like it's one of the Red Bulls, actually. I think Cayman's just gone off. Yeah, it has been Cayman. And there's a virtual safety car which slows everything down. Bugatti gets overtaken by Skeven and it's Alfa Romeos together again.
And even though Praga was stuck behind Bugatti, when he crossed the line, he still gained around 4 seconds on Greeny on that lap.
So rain eased up.
Did it?
I think the rain might have eased up a little bit.
It's a lot less now.
Okay.
It might be into conditions in a few laps time.
That's possible, actually.
Praga has made an awful strategy call. Sorry to say that in that way, but it's just the way it is. Yeah, it looks like
it looks like it's a crossover, actually. You can see the puddles kind of disappearing a little bit as well, but with green flags racing again, but keep an eye on that gap to leader, because I think we could see some changes as New Zealand Cam's race is getting even worse. We see Cayman and Mulham both pitting on for the Inters, so I think the people who have stayed out on their Inter tyres have made a really good call, and they could pit now for new fresh Inters, while all the full wet drivers who have only done about 5 laps on those tyres, they pit for their new Inters, as the Inters are now the favoured tyre maybe. As it looks like Maxi Lucas just got past Alcatraz Grey, which is because he's not in the session.
But
as Alcatraz Grey's AR pits.
It looks like Greeny didn't have the best restart. Looks like Praga had a really good one, because he just gained 4 seconds within that restart. Alcatraz Grey's AI pits now, but that doesn't really matter, sadly. Feel very sorry for him. You gotta feel bad for him too. That guy.
Yeah, here comes Skeven. He's pulled into the pits now, which I assume can only be for Inters, so looks like it may well just be Inter conditions. Yes, he goes for the Inters. What are Jonathan Praga going to do? Up the front, we have also sadly lost another driver, with New Zealand Cam retiring from this race, which is disappointing that it ends that way. He hasn't had a good time today, but the Toro Rossos together, QPR Beast and CC Brain, they look like they may be going at it. CC Brain goes a little bit wide, QPR Beast, he's going to go for it. They're still going side by side now, completely opposite ends of the track. CC Brain loses out on that position to QPR Beast, as he made a little bit of a mistake and loses that position.
Yeah, CC Brain was quicker than QPR Beast before, when it was still a bit more wet, but right now QPR Beast has got the upper hand with his intermediate tyres, even though they're quite old. 11 laps, that's quite a lot on those tyres, especially around Singapore actually, because the tyres overheat quite quickly. But speaking of overheating tyres, we should see the wet runners going around this track with very hot tyres for the moment.
Yeah, as it gets dry, those tyres are just going to get cooked, so they're probably going to have to pit around now for the Inters. It does look much drier than it did before, and I think the Inters drivers, if they cannot take those tyres to the end, they may as well pit for a new set of Inters, unless maybe it will get dry enough again, the rain will stop and we'll have a nice dry race again to the end. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see what Mother Nature decides.
Yeah, Mother Nature's definitely not on Praga's side so far. but it is on Greeny's, and Lady Luck is also on Greeny's side for the moment as Praga pits, because Greeny took the lead, not only from Praga because of his misjudged strategy, but also from All Cats Are Grey, who sadly lagged out of the lead of the race. So Greeny is on his way to take the race win at the moment, and Maxi Luca is on his way to take a podium.
Yeah, I mean, will they have to pit for new winters? I'm not too sure how long they go. Davey W retires out of this race. He's had an absolutely awful day. Starting on the wrong tyres, and well, after that it just got worse and worse. Kept spinning, kept crashing. But yeah, a lot of people now starting to pit for the inters, and All Cats Are Grey is back, but I think... Oh, hang on, Tipson's just spun.
Yeah, I saw that on the mini-map.
That's not good. I think he's going to lose out to Tipson now, so I think that's the wet tyres just overheating, and it's time to pit for those inters, because look, the rain's just barely nothing anymore, and the track isn't all that wet, so maybe we'll see it change back over to the dries for the end of this race, but we're only halfway through the race right now, so still got quite a long way to go, so anything can still happen.
Yeah, but Praga is quite far down right now, and P8 obviously had to serve that 5-second penalty as well, which put him even behind his teammate. So very, very unfortunate for him, because I don't think that was a really deserved 5-second penalty. I think he just slightly cut the inside chicane, but that's not worthy 5 seconds, especially in the pits. But it looks like Rini is about to make his second pit stop now, and yes, he is. It's going to be his final one, I think. If it's not going to dry up, it is going to be his last pit stop, and he will come out somewhere in P3, I think.
Yeah, Maxi Luca decides to pit too, so does Bugatti, so pretty much everybody on the Inzers right now are deciding that it's time to come in for some new fresh inters, so they can, you know, have nice fresh inters really, except QPRB decides not to, which is interesting, but, you know, he'll probably pit around the next lap, but most inter drivers deciding that new inters are needed, as they've probably got a bit too old, a bit too slow, so, you know.
Davey has also left the session, but he's already out of the race. And Skeven is just behind Maxi Luca for the moment. So that could become very interesting between the two of them in the fight for P2, for net P2 actually right now, as QPRB still has to make yet another pit stop probably. And Bugatti is closely followed by his teammate Jonathan as well. The two championship rivals. Let's see what Jonathan does. Doesn't go for a move just yet.
Yeah, it's probably right. He just has to kind of sit behind him for now. Sorry, my headset keeps breaking, so I have to fumble around with it to reattach it. But yeah, Jonathan and Bugatti, they're both together right now. Championship rivals, like you said, there's really not much separating them from what I know. So, you know, this race could be quite a crucial one again. If Jonathan can get past Bugatti, I don't know. I'm just going to have to wait and see.
And we've got a lot of close gaps right now, but this is what we were talking about before the race in terms of wet conditions. It's just really, really hard to overtake, especially when you've got cars that got equal pace or maybe even the same. That's the case for Jonathan and Bugatti, who are both in the Williams, as Jonathan loses the rear end completely and nearly slams into the wall. And I gotta say, Praga is catching up quite a lot to both of them in front. And he still seems to have got the pace for the moment.
Yeah, it looks like it, except someone else who's got the pace right now is Skeven. He's closing up to Maxi Luca now, so maybe could put himself up into the podium positions, but Praga trying to salvage his race. It hasn't been a good one for him, but catching up to two possible title rivals just up the road from him. He seems to be going a little bit quicker as the Williams drivers are struggling, especially with their low amounts of downforce and grip. So Praga could be looking at, you know, maybe a top 5 in this race if he can keep up the pace.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw Praga being really, really quick. When was it? Was it in Baku?
I think so, yeah.
I think, yeah, wasn't it in Baku where he even won the race? I'm not quite sure, but I think he was. Yeah, I think he won in Baku. Yeah, should be.
Yeah,
But he had two very poor results, to be fair, in Germany and Canada. So he now has to bounce back at some point, and today could be the day. But he's currently down in P7. But there's still a chance to maybe gain a few more positions. I thought for a moment it stopped raining, but I'm not going to go on board with Jonathan anymore because he has got the revs glitch. It's just revving out the engine completely, and that sounds awful.
yeah, I absolutely hate that glitch. I remember the first time I ever saw it, I thought one of my friends was just revving out his car ridiculous amounts, and it terrified me. And when I mentioned it, he was saying that he did everything normal, but then I realised that's just a glitch in this game which hasn't been fixed for like 2 years. That's really annoying. Hopefully it's fixed as a 2020 game to make things
Do you
less
really think
deafening.
so? It's Codemasters, so I won't be sure. When we have
Never
got
know.
glitches in the game that have been there from the start, but we still got them. So
I mean,
I remember my first ever league race on this game. Had the glitch where it was not loading for one person when you were about to start the formation app, and that glitch is still existing. So yeah, good game.
I can't remember my first league race in this game. Absolutely no idea, but I did take my first ever league race win on this game.
Oh, that's
And
good.
my first ever 14 races on this game. So yeah, this game's treated me quite nicely, and also treated me to over 40 podiums, so that's pretty fun. This has been one of my favourite F1 games to play, but yeah, like I said, overtaking just isn't rewarding enough. But it's disappointing. This game's treated me nicely, and apparently there's going to be a little bit more traction for the next game, and ABS is going to be harder to lock up without it. So basically everything I gain an advantage in, being lower amounts of grip and being able to go later on the brakes, is being removed. So I'm going to be back down in F6 for next game probably.
Well, right now we have got a fight actually. Gray is still in the lobby and he's going down the inside into turn 7 on Tipson. Tipson tries to make the switchback work, now coming down into turn 8. Maybe he goes for another switchback, not quite. He just gives ways and lets Gray through, but he will be disqualified after the race because he rejoined. And that corner cutting glitch we've got for like 3 games now is still there. So yeah.
Some people getting ridiculously large penalties for absolutely nothing. I mean, I had that thing happen to me just on Friday where I went a little bit wide under a safety car to get past the safety car. It gave me 5 seconds, which meant I didn't get points. So of course I was very angry at that, because I'm just an angry person.
Well, Skeven just completely cut the last chicane, but seems like nothing was awarded in terms of penalties. So the game thinks it's fine. But yeah, I really have high expectations for the next game. But I probably shouldn't, because I'm probably going to be disappointed once again. The offline modes look really good, but those are going to be fun. Yeah. Those are going to be fun for like the first month, and that's it. And then everyone's going on to Elite Racing once again. And everyone's going to be disappointed, but that's just the way it is. We don't have a second F1 game. So we'll just hope for the best. And maybe Codemasters surprises us. All I'm asking for is, because it sounds like the handling is becoming more realistic, like all the YouTubers have said, it sounds quite good what they have said so far. But all I'm asking for is a game, an online mode free of glitches. I'd be fine with
That
that.
would be nice, but I don't think that would ever happen, because there's a glitch in every game really. I mean, I know FIFA still has the thing where 2 players will run into each other and then one of them will yeet into Argentina and the other one will be in Bolivia. So, you know, that's still a glitch on the game. It's really funny, but, you know, it's still there. It's been there for ages, but it's never been fixed. But, I mean, at least my YouTube's going to be a little bit more interesting coming on to the next game, as you know, have more interesting career mode stuff I can do. So, you know, some of the YouTube scene's going to be livened up, and hopefully league racing's nice and fun still, so you can make some funny moments or whatever. I mean, my only wish is that it's a fun game. I don't mind if there's too many glitches, but as long as it's fun.
Yeah, well, it needs to be fun. That's the main point. But all kids are great, just gone past Sam T. That's an odd position. I didn't really see that.
I think Sam
coming.
lost the rear there. Oh, Skeeven lost the rear actually. Almost hit into the wall behind Maxi Lucas, so that could have been quite bad for Skeeven. He's lost time now to the possible podium, which is disappointing, but I think he's going to be able to make up that time again.
Yeah, we had so much time to talk about different things, which indicates that this race is not really the most exciting one right now. That's once again due to the rain. But QPR Beast, very impressive. He is in P2 right now on 17 lap old inters. But I don't think he can take those to the end.
I don't think so either. That's how many laps on that? About 26, 27 laps on the inters, which is... It's going to be hell at the end, so... Yeah, not good.
Yeah, maybe he's gambling on a safety car and that will come and give him a good chance. Or a good shot at a podium. Greeny, meanwhile, is dominating this race.
He really is. He's just been sitting there at the front pretty much the whole time since all Grey left. He was sitting behind also Grey, but now he's there 15 seconds ahead of QPR Beasts. He's on 17 lap old inters, and I think he's losing to Maxi Luca too, so... Yeah, Greeny, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, it's going to be his race really.
Yeah, I mean... There must be a lot of things going wrong for him to still bottle that one. But who knows? We've had drivers 12 seconds in the lead and crashing out in the sucks curve, which still hurts. But we won't talk about that, otherwise I'm going to start crying. Right now Skeeven is in P4 and Maxi Lucas caught up to QPR Beast, which might give Skeeven a chance to catch up to Maxi Luca so much that he can actually go for a move at some point.
It looks like QPR Beast's tyres have completely gone off. I think they've hit the cliff and they've died. And here goes Maxi Luca, getting past QPR Beast on the straight, which is quite simple for him. Now Skeeven, he's going to have to wait for that opportunity to open up for him as well. Maxi Luca moves up to P2, QPR Beast moving down into P3. But his tyres are shot to bits.
He is now under pressure from Skeeven, who comes really close to his rear end, as Skeeven is just waiting for an opportunity to open up. Remember, QPR Beast still has got his front right end plate missing, so that won't help him either. But maybe we will see a move coming now after this hairpin from Skeeven. Don't think QPR Beast will really put up much of a fight. As Skeeven goes for the outside into this one.
Oh!
And they're going side by side. Ah, that's close, but Skeeven makes the move sig around the outside. Good job from the Alfa Romeo driver, and he didn't lose that much time to Maxi Luca and is now up into the podium positions.
There's a little bit of contact in that as well, which is quite scary, but Prague is closing up to Jonathan now. So if he wants to salvage anything for his championship hopes, he's going to want to get past these Williams. He's been behind them for quite a while, hasn't he?
Yeah.
From what I can remember.
Biz is up into P8 again, by the way, but he has lagged out. So will be disqualified as QPR Beast dives into the pits.
Yeah, his tyres are gone.
Around 17 laps to the end. He has to make yet another pit stop. But I think that wasn't the best strategy call from him. But remember,
no, it took it too long.
For example, Skeeven does have to take these tyres for another, what is that now? 8 laps? Yeah, 8 laps.
Yeah.
So he will be on 16 lap old inters, which won't feel too great either at the end.
Yeah, it's a couple of laps off what QPR Beast just did, but I think the cut-off point's about 17. It depends on how good Skeeven's kept his tyres and good nick, but you know, just gonna have to wait and see what he can do. But Greeny's just he's opened up his gap even more. 17.1 seconds it is now. It was just a huge gap, and that reminds me of if I ever bottled my first race win, which was a 48-second win in Monaco, which was something I go on about constantly. It's my proudest ever moment. But yeah, if I had bottled that, I probably would have cried and I would have retired from league racing. Imagine bottling a 48-second win. Oh,
that's
heartbroken that would have been.
Quite difficult. I know someone could be able to do that. He's called Sonny Bottlehaug. He's well known in the F1 community, I think. So, who knows? He probably can do anything which has to do with bottling something. But right now it looks like Greeny's not really in danger of bottling, as Maxi Luca is under a lot of pressure from Skeven behind, as Maxi Luca and Skeven both dive into the pits. Oh, and Maxi Luca had
it's dry, there's no rain.
Oh yes, you're right, I didn't even realise.
I didn't even notice.
Oh, okay, that means QPR Beast has made a horrible strategy call.
Same with Greeny and Jonathan, look. They've decided to stay out, so Greeny's win is large, his lead is large, but will it be large for much longer? Some people have gone for the softs. Oh, they're not going to last.
6 laps.
No, they're going to blow up at the end. No, they only got like 3 or 4.
But QPR Beats has made the worst strategy call they could. He just pitted, and on his outlap it stops raining completely, and because the F1 game has an awful weather system, it's completely dried up. Completely. There's not even a wet part on the track. Neither did I.
That was so sudden.
And Biss got in front of Praga, actually.
Oh, so did. Okay, but I think the people going on the softs might have made a mistake. I don't think the softs can last until the end, if I'm honest. Only 3 or 4 laps, I think they can go. But, you know, I have to see what they do. But the people in the top 4... Oh, they're probably having an awful time right now, and it could maybe even lose in the race. Possibly. Yeah, I'm looking at that. No idea what that was for.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe someone slightly crossed the white line on the pit exit, and that sometimes triggers yellow flags. But all cats are grey. CC Brain, Jonathan, and Skeven, all 4 have stayed out so far. So those will still have to pit, and Greeny does exactly that right now. Dives into the pit lane, fits the softs for the last 6 laps of this race. I think that should be enough.
Maybe just whether he pushes them long enough. Jonathan pits, CC Brain probably will pit too, but I think Greeny's going to keep his race lead, which is, I mean, good for him. He deserves this race win as long as he keeps those tyres in good nick. I think it's still going to be quite a simple race win for him if he can just keep the car on the road. So Greeny hasn't lost too much time because he was so far ahead after that inter period. So fair play to him. Still 14 seconds ahead.
As Biz has gained so much time after the pit stops, actually doesn't have to be disqualified if he is able to prove that he can get warnings, because sometimes that is the case, that drivers can still get warnings. He won't be disqualified, but he has to prove that. There goes Biz around the outside of Bugatti and up into P4 for the moment.
All Casagray's just got past CC Brain, except CC Brain, I think he's going to go around the outside on him. He does indeed. All Casagray lets that happen, as Jonathan and Praga are having a little bit of a fight, and Jonathan's just lost out to him. So can Praga make up 4.7 seconds of Bugatti? I don't think so, but Praga looks like he's trying to salvage as much as he can from this race, which has been a bit disappointing for him, so, you know.
Yeah, anything can still happen within those last 6 laps. I gotta say that I think the racing will become a lot better right now in the dry, because it's a lot easier to overtake. I'm still mad that this game hasn't introduced the third DRS though there is in real life, because that actually provides a good overtaking opportunity, especially on this game, but it's just not there, so we'll have to live with it. Bugatti is losing time to Biz, Biz is flying at the moment and might actually take the fastest lap of the race with him.
That's possible, but I still want the percentage thing for the weather. Like, you know when all they had in like 2010, 2011, it would come up with the percentage of what the race weather might be. I want that. It just would make the races so much more interesting. People trying to take gambles, but you know, it hasn't
too predictable
been brought back.
Moment.
It really is. That's what I find. Jonathan's lagging all over the place. That's scary. But you know, I think I'd rather have it less predictable so we can have more interesting races and more people trying to take risks with their strategy, as my headset keeps falling apart, so I have to ruin your ears.
And someone asked to look at all cats are grey. Of course I can do that. But remember, he lagged out of the session and he has to prove that he can get warnings. If he can't, he will be disqualified afterwards. But here he comes for now, around the outside into turn 7, side by side with CC Brain, who defends well so far, but he tries to go for the outside line.
Kane's just been disqualified.
Who? Oh.
I think... Yeah, he was. Okay.
Which position was he in?
I think he was in about 12th, so it didn't really matter too much, but... I mean, that's interesting. Okay. Cool.
That's very interesting, to say the least. And he now left the session. I remember Bottlehaug getting disqualified as well in Mexico. But that was quite a while ago, actually. And Skeven is really close to Maxi Lucas, so let's see if he will be able to set up a move. 4 laps to go in this race, and he is still within a chance of P2 as Biz is coming closer and closer to those two in front and might actually spoil the party for them.
Indeed, he's going to have DRS zones within a second as we finally have DRS activated again, as it's now dry, which is always fun. So Skeven, he's maybe going to be able to gain an advantage on Maxi Luca with that DRS. Pretty equal engines, I'd say, but the DRS and slipstream is really going to help him now. But that's the thing, with about 4 laps to go of this race. So
Jonathan in the meantime goes side by side with Praga through turn 6. That was really close to contact between the two, and Praga has to give ways for the moment, and he lets Jonathan go more or less. He doesn't really fight it, as there's been contact with Tipson and Sam, I think, and Tipson's gone up into P10.
I'm not sure what happened there, but Sam T, he hasn't had the best race. He's been struggling with traction the whole time, and he's clearly struggling again. He's lost out of that position, those possible points from Tipson, but I think some of this race is still going to be decided on penalties, and Greeny just doesn't seem as quick in this dry period, but I don't think they're going to be able to catch 3 seconds a lap on him. As actually, all cats are grey has just got past CC Brain. I think CC Brain might have made a mistake or something, but
yeah, he's quite
all cats are grey moves himself onto P8.
He's already 1.1 behind, so there might have been a mistake. I was watching Skeven, Maxi Luca and Biz for the moment. Biz currently has got the fastest lap of the race, which just shows how much potential he had in this race, but sadly it was all thrown out the window by his internet while he was lagged out. He couldn't do anything about the situation, it seems like. But now he is in the race. Like I mentioned so many times now, he has to prove that he was able to get pens, otherwise he will be disqualified. But for the moment he's really close to Skeven, and he moves to the inside for turn 7, but he tucks in behind again within the braking zone and stays behind for now.
Yeah, Biz couldn't quite make the move down, which is probably smart not to launch up the inside, but unfortunately I'm going to have to be leaving you for the interviews. Oh, okay. Maybe his softs just weren't going to make the end. But unfortunately I'm not going to be able to attend the interviews with you. That sounds more interesting. What happened?
There was Praga really close to the back of Jonathan, and I think there has been even contact, but it looks like Praga's still got his front wing. As I actually wanted to ask you if you could do the interviews for me, because I have to sadly immediately leave, but now that's gone out the window.
I mean, I need to leave as well. I have admin duties to attend to, which I've been putting on hold all week because of other commitments, so I need to do that tonight. So sadly we're going to have no interviews for today, which I don't mind because I hate doing them. I hate doing them as a driver, I hate doing them as a commentator. Skeven goes out a little bit wide. Here goes Biz, it could be his opportunity. Coming into the first corner, he's going to go up the inside of Skeven if he can, but no, Skeven just seems to be a little bit better on the brakes, holds around the outside. Biz has to wait again to try and make that move. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do it coming into turn 7. If he has the DRS, but so does Skeven. It's been a yellow flag, I'm not sure why, but Biz has got a much better exit on Skeven. He's going to hold that inside line into turn 7. Skeven drops back before the corner. He's still going to try and hold it around the outside. He goes for it, except Biz moves himself up to third spot, which could still be taken away from him, remember, unless he can prove he can get warnings.
Yeah, but a great move, and for the moment it's a podium for Biz, as I think I can maybe try to do the interviews just very, very quickly.
Hang on, Prague is side by side with Jonathan, sorry. He's just got up the inside of him. Jonathan almost in the wall, giving him just enough room to Praga. He's on the inside now. They're both locking up their brakes. They're really pushing each other to the limit. Praga gets out in front of him because of a bit of lag, but that's okay. Jonathan just behind him now. Can he go for it? A little bit of contact. Lost the locking up though from those two. Really struggling on the brakes, but Praga moves into P6. Actually stays at P6. I think it was Jonathan behind anyway, but Biz, he's now behind Maxi Luca and maybe could get himself up to P2 for now before a possible disqualification unless he could prove otherwise.
Yeah, and there's already a lapped car in the way. Yeah, I think I can maybe do a quick interview with everyone, just one question for everyone, because I don't have that much time actually, but I will try to do some interviews maybe. But right now it looks like Biz can make a move on the last lap of this race. He's coming down into turn 1. Maxi Luca wants to keep that second spot for now. I'm not sure what the penalty situation looks like, but right now it's all coming down to on-track action for us, for our point of view, and we're just going to commentate on what is going on track, not in terms of penalties, and we're just going to ignore the fact that Biz has rejoined for the moment, as Biz goes for a last lap move around the outside, coming down into turn 7. They're going to be side by side. Maxi Luca tries to hold it, has to back out for the moment. Maybe Maxi Luca can fight back now. No, he has to tuck in behind and wait, and maybe, just maybe, there's one last opportunity to fight back, but it looks like Biz is already putting away, and maybe Maxi Luca has to now watch out behind him and has to look out for Skeven, who might want to take the podium away from him.
I don't think Maxi can do much else about that second place Biz. I think he's gone. The soft tyres just aren't quite as good as the mediums at this point in the race. Skeven seems to be a little bit too far behind. It needs to be a miracle for him to get past. We have another yellow flag, which seems to be the Toros of QPR.
CC Brain! It's CC Brain,
no,
actually.
CC Brain! Oh yeah, it is! I don't think he's going to lose that position to Tibson. Did he lose any positions from that?
Not
he's in a world of his own.
Not yet, but here comes Greedy around the final 2 corners to take a great victory, and he brings it home in first place. Congratulations on the win. Biz will come home in second. Remember, he has to prove that he could get penalties, otherwise it's a disqualification for him. Comes across the line. He does not keep second. Maxi Luca gets second, but he does keep third in front of Skeven, and Bugatti will now come around the final few corners as well. Will he stay in front of Praga? No, he won't. Skeven drops down to 6th. Praga gets 4th. Great result for him. Then Jonathan has got loads of penalties as well in front of CC Brain. Lucky for him that CC Brain spun on the last lap then. So he will probably keep the spot, or let's wait and see. Does he actually? Or does he not? He does keep the spot. Tipson 9th. No, Tipson 10th. Sam T in 8th place in the end. And all cats are grey will take 11th, just outside the points after he lagged out. Very, very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, it's disappointing. He possibly could have had a race win today, but it just didn't quite play out for him. But it's a really deserved win from Greeny. Maxi Luke did well to get that P2. Biz lagged out, still got P3, so fair play to him. I know Skeven had a 10-second time penalty, so that will probably get removed, and maybe he'll move up the order once again. But Yeah, not bad of a race. The wet weather slowed it down a bit, but the driver still gave us something interesting as the final driver comes across the line. End of Singapore.
Fair play to Maxi Luca, who had a great race. I think it's his first ever FP podium, actually. It's definitely his first of the season. So, yeah, great job from all of these drivers. But here we've got our winner lifting up the winning trophy in his Haas. The Racing Point and the Ferrari right next to him. And now
Driver that win.
I sadly need to hurry up, need to skip that one. And then quickly invite the other drivers.
And I need to run, so anyway. I'll see you soon, Felix. I'll see everyone next week.
Thanks for joining me. And I will see you next week. As I will quickly try to invite the people who finished on the podium to make it work. This is going to be a short interview because I don't have that much time anymore. So I would really appreciate if the people could join quickly. And it's not going to be a lot of questions. It's probably just going to be 1 or 2 questions for each driver. But that's fine. Here's your finishing result. And Greeny takes his first win of the season. So a great one from him, as he actually joined already. So please make sure you've got your microphone on shared.
Do indeed. Maxi might need to do it though.
Alright, so just for information, I don't have a lot of time, so it's going to be a quick interview. But coming up to you, Greeny. Well done on your win. Congratulations, first place. What was your feeling when you saw Orchestra Grey lagging out in the lead, and then you were able to take the lead? Were you very confident that you could take the win, and how did you keep the concentration up?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it was a really good finish if Orchestra Grey, also known as Josh, didn't lag out. He's doing a really good job to that point. So yeah, a big shame for him. But after that, I really knew that if the safety car didn't come out, I would win. So yeah, good to get the job done.
Yeah, you did prove to be very, very consistent as well. And looking up to next week, which is going to be Japan, do you think you can maybe pull out another podium?
Yeah, potentially. We'll see what the car is. And obviously got FE as well around Japan, so the practice will be flowing around there. So yeah, I think it's quite a lot of luck in this sort of format. So yeah.
Alright then, sorry for the short interview, but congratulations on your win, and good luck for next week.
Yeah, thanks. Good commentary again, I'm sure.
Thank you. So Maxi, congratulations on your podium, first podium of the season, first time I have the honor to interview you. It became quite intense in the last few laps. What was going on through your head? Did you think you wanted to keep that podium so badly, or did you know about penalties, or did you just want to secure the good result?
I knew about penalties, and I knew that Arbiz, I think he's called, lagged out and then joined back again, so I knew that he was going to get disqualified. So I knew that as long as I just drove my race to the end, that I'd have a guaranteed P2, and I managed to get it on penalties anyway. So yeah, but I used to be a league racer, and then I stopped, and I'm a reserve, and Greeny called me up with about 10 minutes to go, so quite happy with the P2.
Yeah, I'm very sure you are. You did a great race. You did some great defending on the last few laps, and as you are a reserve, as you said, do you think you will be back maybe next week when we're heading to Japan? And if so, do you think you can do well there?
If I come back, yeah, if I'm allowed. I like Japan, so we'll see. But I have to just wait and see what everyone else's availability is.
All right, so congratulations on your podium, and yeah, hopefully I will see you once again.
Yeah, thank you. See you later.
Coming up to our third place driver, Biz, please make sure you've got your microphone on shared.
Do I? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't know if the stream can hear you.
Just Give me a second.
No worries. Ah, the people can hear you. That's good.
Okay.
All right. So, congratulations on your P3. But once again, your internet seems to cause a lot of troubles
A
after
lot of
already lagging
issues,
out in
yeah.
Germany, and now
Yeah.
today once again. When you rejoined, were you able to get penalties, or
Yeah, I got a 5-second penalty coming out the pits.
Okay, so that is good. So you won't get disqualified, it seems like. So we can talk about your race itself. That was an incredible comeback from you after you rejoined and you were really
Yeah.
unlucky. Did you know that you had the pace to fight back up there?
I didn't know intentionally that I had the pace, but as soon as I pitted on the dry tires, I knew that I could make a comeback because the other drivers made a mistake going for softs. As you know, like softs in Singapore, that they do overheat. So I just went on to mediums and see what I can do, which it paid.
Yeah, I saw yours. We talked about the strategy actually, and we saw you went on to the mediums. I don't know if you kept the fastest lap. I think
Nah.
Timpson just took it from you a few
Yeah.
laps to the end, but still a great recovery drive. And with your two good results, or in Germany sadly not a good result, but a good performance until you lagged out.
Yeah.
Do you think if your internet stays stable for next week, do you think you can maybe get another podium or maybe even a win?
It depends on the allocations, but if my internet stays stable, I do feel confident that I can get a podium at Japan.
All right, so seems like you're confident. So congratulations on your race today. Sorry for the short interview.
Yes, no problem.
And good luck for next week and your internet.
Thank you very much.
All right, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for joining us for the race here in Singapore. And we will be back next week when we are heading to Japan, which will hopefully maybe not be a wet race. That will be quite nice to see next week. I think Jack will be staying for the interviews. I apologize for the short interviews, but I don't have any more time, sadly. So, yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching the race with me. And yeah, take care and goodbye. We will see you next week.